Friends, we are this is our 20th episode that we have
Dang,
found you.
Daniel.
I know. Can you believe it?
I really
And
can't.
it's the episode I know Birch has been waiting for.
And Lee and William.
And Lee and William, like all this is gonna be a great one. We have so much good stuff to get to. Um we just have had a great week or week and a half or whatever. It's been great. And we can't wait to share it with you. Um So, Mandy, I'm going to let you start off. You've got some great news about Ronnie, and I can't wait to
Yes.
talk about it.
Shortly after, well, not shortly after, the night after we recorded, because we record on Wednesdays. And Wednesday night, I got a text that somebody was interested in Ronnie. Um, and it's the nicest woman who lives in Woodstock, Georgia. She has two teenage sons. She has a Labradoodle Weimaraner mix named
Love it.
Loki, and she had adopted from Weimaraner Rescue of the South 2 years ago, I think. She had adopted Henry. And so she was interested in Ronnie specifically because of Ronnie's anatomical uniqueness, shall we say.
Bless her.
For those of you who may have missed it, Ronnie is an intersexed dog. She had a uterus and testicles, all of which were removed when she was spayed/neutered. And she has a little penis that protrudes just a little bit out of her vulva.
And what do we call her?
It's her little Avon lipstick.
Well, no, we call
Single.
her
Oh, a
hermaphrodite.
hermaphrodog. She's a
Hermaphrodite.
hermaphrodog, yeah. Um, so anyway, this woman was actually reading a book on gender fluidity when Ronnie's face appeared on her screen. She was like, this is meant to be. And so it was a little tricky because of the two dogs. And I didn't know how Ronnie was with other dogs. We
You hadn't
asked the vet
tested
on
her
TV.
yet.
Because she'd been sick.
Yeah.
And it's always easy for me. My sister's dog Lucy loves all the dogs, and so whenever I go to Nashville, it's easy for me to test my fosters out because Lucy's, she's fine with everybody. She gets a little scared sometimes, but so I, was getting ready to head to Nashville. I'm headed to Nashville later this week, so I knew I would be able to test Ronnie out with Lucy and figure it out. But up until that point, I had not had her around any dogs, and so she said she was willing to come on Sunday, to drive down here on Sunday with her two dogs and her two teenagers,
Drive all the way down there from
which is
Woodstock.
unusual. Most people kind of balk. That's a rule we have, is that when they're adopting the dog, they have to come pick the dog up, just because that demonstrates their
Yeah,
committedness.
of course. And she's
Depending
up by
on,
me. So she's north of Atlanta.
yeah,
For those of
yeah,
you who don't know where Woodstock is, it's northwest Atlanta.
yeah, Cherokee County.
Ooh,
Um, so she came, and we went over to my friend Susie's house, and used Susie's backyard. And it was like, it's a process. You can't, if you're ever like introducing dogs and you don't know how they are, you can't just like set them loose in the yard. So we typically will walk them side by side for like parallel play with children. We'll sort of do that first and then let them loose in the yard. And so we had to do that with two dogs. And Loki, the mix, was the one that we were a little more worried about, because he's a sort of a grumpy old man. And he and Ronnie barked at each other initially, but when they got in the backyard, they were fine. And there was at one point where I can't remember now what was happening, but something happened, and Loki was sort of jumping up on his mom, and Ronnie, like, she did sort of go after him a little bit, and was sort of bit at his flank. She did not bite him, but she definitely, like,
right.
went for him. And so I was glad that she saw that, because, and that's the thing I love about the rescue I work with, is we don't hide anything with these dogs. Like, we
Yeah.
want you to know what you're getting because we want it to be a good fit. And so, but anyway, so we did it, and she and Lucky eventually settled down, and then we brought Henry in. And the moment she and Henry started playing, I posted a video of it on my Instagram. First of all, Henry is twice as big as Ronnie, easily. He is twice her size. But the two of them started zooming around that yard and playing, and it was like, all right, this is it. We're done. And so off they went, loaded up into the
Wow.
car to Woodstock. Um, so that was my little Christmas miracle. is that our little Ronnie got adopted and by somebody who not only accepts her for who she is, but loves it and is excited to share her story and let her be a testament to, how differences can be beautiful.
I love
So
that so much.
yeah, so that was really fun. And that's really sort of all I have. The other thing that occurred, the only other thing I was going to talk about this morning is I was scrolling Instagram at 3:30. I'm only going to name one of the things that's on the list, Katie, because I
Okay.
think this might just be an ongoing segment that I do as things
Uh,
occur to me.
I saw, so I logged on a little early.
Well, because
'Cause
I forgot we were recording early and I was in shock.
no, and I'm testing out this light that the Big Boo podcast made me buy. So when I have class, people can actually see that I'm here and I get credit for being there.
Katie looks beautiful.
I don't.
Right,
I mean,
well,
what it does is make you see all my zits,
I
which is
can't see those at all. You keep
well,
pointing
thank
to them, but I can't see them.
you. And I saw this on here, and I was like, I'm here for it, and I think I know which one you're going to talk about, and I'm here for it.
Oh, I used to do a thing on Facebook all the time where I would say, "People of Earth," and then I would post some crazy rant, whatever was
Yeah.
stuck in my craw at the moment. So this is sort of my people of Earth. These are things I don't understand, and these occur to me quite often. But we'll start today off with one because my friend Casey has already shared the same thing I saw on Instagram. So
Um,
obviously, it's going to hit a chord with several people.
yes.
Label makers.
Oh,
Now,
that's
see,
not
you
the one I
probably
thought you
understand.
were going
Well,
with.
that one I can go off on anytime.
Okay.
Label makers. Katie, you probably understand the label maker a little better than me, but
Yeah.
I do not understand the need to label
No.
everything.
I don't have one. Are there times, not everything, but are there times when I wish like I could look in the top of my closet and go, what's in that box? Yes. But
Well, there's this thing called a Sharpie.
on a very limited basis. Exactly. I'm not going to buy a maker for it. Now, in the 80s, did I have one of those punchy things?
And those are cool.
Those are cool. But I'm
You had
not
to like
into the whole,
twist it to
yep,
get to the letter, and then you punched it, and then
yep,
yeah.
yep,
No, I
yep,
remember
yep,
that.
yep, yep, yep.
I couldn't wait. My favorite thing to play when I was a kid was like Office, and I couldn't wait to
Yes.
be able to get all the office supplies. Like that
Right.
was gonna be super fun. Um,
Telling you.
but yeah. So anyway, this my friend Casey shared the same story I had seen at 3:30 when it made me post this on our show notes. And Casey's like, Yeah, just go in my attic and look at all my Sharpie labeled
Yeah.
boxes. Like, I don't know. It just feels like I do follow a couple of accounts like on Instagram that are, influencer accounts, but not like, I love this product. Let me show it to you. It's like
Yeah.
the house is beige.
Yeah.
Everything in the house is beige or rose gold. Even their vacuum cleaner is beige or rose gold. Like, what are you
Uh,
doing with your life? I'm gonna need
the
you to live a little.
the only one that I would say is slightly different, that if I could afford them, I would pay them to come to my house and do it, is the home edit.
Oh yeah, I do love
I
the home
love
edit.
those girls. But other than
Yeah,
that, I'm
yeah.
not, no, I'm not doing all that. No, that's too much work. I
I
got other,
mean, my sister's sister-in-law, so Lewis's sister, came to
yeah,
visit them, and she decided she was going to organize their pantry. Listen, I've spent my life organizing my sister's closets. I understand
yeah,
what we're dealing with here. And she did buy some, probably from the container store,
yeah.
some the airtight containers that are labeled. But I'm here to tell y'all she labeled one quinoa. And my sister's just not in need of a container labeled quinoa.
Also, that sounds awfully fancy for your
It's
sister.
just not something that she really needs. Now, had she labeled one Dave's Killer Bread that's gonna sit out on the bowl on the counter,
Ah, I
that
love
would
some
be a
Dave's
great
Killer bread
container,
when I'm eating bread. That's what I
right?
get. But I
Right?
don't, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Speaking of bread, A loaf of bread
Oh,
tried to kill me.
if you have not seen the Instagram, you should go on to Mandy's. Did you put it on ours too, or
I
just?
did not listen. I'm
Well, go on to
forced to.
her Instagram. She like it was an effort, I'm sure, just to get it on there because of your injury.
Yes, it's a challenge, y'all. So there's a bakery that I have recommended many times on here, Black Bear Bakery. I went on Thursday. I had a couple of will signings, and so I went to Black Bear beforehand and got a gift card for the sweet little woman who runs the virtual office where I rent a conference room. Because let me tell you what Joy has to deal with on a regular basis. When I reserve the room online, this particular company is an international company, and so they use military time. And for 2 times in a row, y'all, I have reserved a conference room for 2 a.m. Yeah, that's what Joy has to deal with on a regular basis. So I went and got Joy a gift card at Black Bear.
I love it.
And while I was there, I got a loaf of bread. And then Susie, my best friend Susie, was my witness that day. And so I took her out to happy hour afterwards. And I might have forgotten there was a loaf of bread in my car and left it in my car from Thursday until I got in my car again on Sunday. So when I tried to cut the bread on Monday, it was a little,
Resistant.
paler than it usually is, and the knife slipped.
Whew,
And yeah, it's
whew.
been a real thing. Luckily, it's my left hand. I probably could have used a stitch, but how the heck are they going to stitch you on the top of your finger? But it's one of those things that anybody that's ever had an injury on their hand or one of their arms that keeps them from being able to use a hand, you can relate to me the difficulty
Yeah,
of walking around with one working hand. So
it's
anyway,
not easy.
yes. But anyway, so that was my very exciting weekend, which has nothing to do, nothing, nothing on Katie's week, y'all. That I have been waiting. That was Thursday night, wasn't
That
it?
was Thursday night.
So I woke up to a text Friday morning that I have been waiting to hear this story for almost a week now. So
Yeah,
Katie, so wait. Let me
I was
first
about to
of all,
say.
I
So
got it.
I
So
first of all had pulled up the text chain so I can
okay, good.
read
And
that.
so first of all, let's back up for a minute. So I
Yeah.
went back and looked to see. It was the second time I had to do favorites, which was episode 5. So if y'all would like to go back 15 episodes and listen to episode 5,
Do it.
wherein I talk about my love for the television show True South. And True South is the brainchild of John T. Edge and Wright Thompson, um,
Who, for
who
the
lived.
record, I liked before. I just didn't know there was a show. I just want that on record.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you know who. Yeah, you know who John
Yeah.
T. was for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, so they live in Oxford. John T. runs the Southern Foodways Alliance at Oxford, at Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they started this television show where they travel around the South and they interview, they go to little hole in the wall places typically and interview those folks and tell their stories and share their food. Um, and it has become, like, we talked about it then. Katie started watching the show at that point, and
Yes.
then it's been a running theme throughout the podcast. If you listen, we mention it quite often, having
Yes.
watched certain episodes. Katie and I really want to do a tour at some point where we go to all these places. We will be joined by my friend William Bailey,
Can't
who
wait.
two summers ago, when William and his family were at the beach, we got started talking about True South. So William and I had already had a tour planned, but Katie is welcome to join us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's gonna happen. So anyway, we're big True South fangirls, big time.
Yes.
So I awakened to this text from Katie.
Well, I'm going to go back just a little bit further because I watched the last episode of season 6 when it came out, and I watched it on December 9th, and I said this. I'm sorry. Did John T. Edge just tell me he grew up in Jones County? And you said he did. And I said, in Clinton, how have they not done Old Clinton barbecue? And we left it at that. And that was December 9th. Skip ahead. I go to Macon. I'm doing my thing, which there are several stories that I probably should tell from that trip. But I'll save those because they're really funny. So I was at a friend's house, and this is how like crazy it is that this even happened. So I was at my friend's house. She's had a little medical procedure, so I went by to visit, and she's like, "Please don't leave me. Tell Will, my friend Will, I was going to dinner with him." She's like, "Tell him to come here. We'll order in." I was like, he's had a birthday. I need to spend time with Will, and we have reservations at Downtown Grill, so I really need to go." And that's where he wanted to go. That's where he picked. So I almost didn't even go, is the message I'm sending. And so then I get to Will and I get there. We're walking down the alley, just chit chatting, not thinking today was going to be any different than any other day in my life. And I open the door to Downtown Grill. And if you've ever been to Macon, Downtown Grill is like the old, and it's in an alley. It's where Dwayne Allman proposed to share. Like, it's a historic building. It's a great restaurant. My friend Richie Jones, who I went to high school with, owns it and runs it now. He does a great job with it. So I open the door, and the bar is right there when you open the door. And sitting at the freaking bar is John T. Edge.
Now, did you recognize him?
Yes, immediately. Immediately, I was like, holy shit,
that's John T. Edge.
And he could see on my face immediately that I was a fan. And I was immediately embarrassed. Immediately. Like, instantly, within 2 seconds, he was like, oh shit, it's a fan. And I was like, oh my God,
I'm sure he gets that all the time, I'm sure.
I'm sure he doesn't, because he was like, what is happening?
He probably loved it.
He was writing in his beautiful, like, I noticed all the things. He was writing in his beautiful leather-bound journal. I was like, he's here to interview somebody, so we got to leave him alone. But he like recognized that I knew who he was, and he stood up. He's such a nice guy. He stood up and he's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh." You're John T. Edge.
You really did have it all over your face.
Like, the shot, like, we had literally, I'm crying laughing.
What was Will thinking?
Seriously, just talked about this, and I had not realized he was from Macon, and I don't know how, because we've got to be close to the same age. And he grew up literally, so Jones County is right on the line with Shirley Hills, which is the beautiful neighborhood that I grew up in. And it's like a mile and a half from where he grew up. So I don't know how I missed that. I don't know, but I did. So I was already like, what if I see him around town? Like, in my head. And then there he is. So he stood up, and I, of course, verbally vomited all over him. I was like, we just love you. Uh-oh. Okay, we're back. Hold on. Oh my gosh, of all the times for it to blip out.
Oh no, and I can't see you at all.
I know. Well, there I am.
There you are.
Oh my gosh. So I verbally vomited all over John T. Edge. And I was like, I legitimately was just watching your show. I love the stories that you tell. I said, the podcast is just, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we don't have a podcast. I was like, no, mine. Like, I fumbled over my words. I was like, we talk about you all the time because we love a good storyteller. We love the South, and you tell great stories. And the Dublin episode, I just verbally vomited, like, and kept going. So in my head, I'm going, do I ask for a picture? Do I ask for a picture? I was like, nope, because he's at dinner. I've interrupted him already.
Listen, he stood up.
He knew immediately. Immediately. And so Will God love him, is behind me like, I don't even know who this guy is. Like, what are we doing? What is happening? And so I'm like, thank you so much. I said, we just know that I'm just such a big fan. I'm glad that you've highlighted all the great things. I said I went to school in Birmingham, so I knew all those restaurants as well. It's just such a great thing that y'all do. We love what you and Rye do. And I left it at that.
That's
And
good. That's good.
yeah, so the whole time, of course, I sat where I could watch him to see who's interviewing because I had a feeling because he was writing in this beautiful leather bound journal that he was there to interview somebody, and he was, and he posted about it. But it's this beautiful woman who's from Macon. Her name's Catherine Walden, and Catherine was an interior designer and a great, businesswoman on her own. But at one point, she was married to Phil Walden, who started Capricorn Records, which is where Otis recorded. It's where the Allman Brothers recorded. The studio is still there. She had a son that apparently grew up with John T. And he was friends with. So that he says he's writing about her and about Philip. And
Is that Jessica Walden's mom or aunt? Okay.
Aunt. Who I also love, Jessica, and went to school with her and just think the world of her. She's doing great things for Macon as well. But I was like, oh my gosh, he's interviewing Catherine Walden. She's so lovely. So for all of you people that have visited Macon, she doesn't live there anymore, but she used to live in that beautiful brick house kind of on the point right by the post office. It's a Neil Reed house. It's gorgeous. Anyway, she's just a beautiful soul. And so I can't wait to read what he's written about her. And I'm sure they're going to talk about Philip, and it's whatever he does is going to be great, but I'm excited to see what turns out. But I like watched him the whole time. I know Will was like, hello, it was my birthday. What are you doing? But it gets even better. So on the way out the door, so there's the bar, and then there's these tables on the other side of the wall. And there were two lawyers. I think they're married. I don't even know who they are.
Does one of them
Sitting.
have a long ponytail?
No. It was right. Well, I know who that would be. But so they were sitting there, and the woman stopped Will, and she was like, hey, Will. And I was like, hey. So I kind of turned back around, and she was like, I was like, hey,
You can't see. Katie was crooking her finger towards her face.
She's like, come here. And I said, hey, I'm Katie. I just thought, it's a friend of Will's. They wanted to meet whoever, or just be nice, whatever. She goes, I saw you freak out. Walked in the door. She said, is that somebody famous? And I said, I think it is.
Famous to me.
It's John T. Edge. Like, I tried to say it quietly because he's literally right behind me, interviewing Catherine Walden, the beautiful, well put together, doesn't fangirl over anybody, Catherine Walden. And here I am freaking out. That's John T. Edge. Have you ever seen True South? She's like, oh, it's John T. Like, she freaked out too. So she is clearly a fan as well. Whoever,
Okay.
I don't even remember her name because I was just so like, don't embarrass yourself further, Katie. So anyway, so we had a lovely dinner, Downtown Grill. Richie does such a great job. We'll go over all the food later because it's anyway. So we walk out, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to make sure I'm following John T to see what he was doing, if he'll talk about it. Sure enough, on Instagram, hold on, let me pull up Instagram. He posts that he was there interviewing Catherine, who I love. So here we go. And so I, of course, have to like try to redeem myself on some level. When I tell you I don't fangirl, like, I've met Charlton Heston.
Such a random one to
I
pull
don't.
out.
It's Moses, right? I've met Moses.
It's just so funny that that's who you choose to
That's the
pull out.
most famous person I've ever met, is Moses.
Charlton Heston.
Well,
I love it.
all kinds of musicians and artists. They're all wonderful, lovely people. I don't fangirl. I freaking fangirled. But I do need to go back and tell you that. Let me read I got to read. Look, we're explicit, so I can read it because I sent Mandee a text that said, "Holy fuck, I just met John T. Edge." And she said, "I can't wait to hear the details." I said, "I don't fangirl," which I totally don't. And but I totally fangirled. You
You
were very
did.
proud.
He looked at your
I
face.
fangirled.
He looked at your face and
He did. Open the door, and he was like, "Oh."
that's the best part. He looked at your face
He
and
looked.
stood up.
I'm turning red right now. So embarrassed.
Don't be embarrassed. I think it's awesome. Are you
I
kidding?
don't do
Somebody,
like
but
people don't
somebody like
impress me.
it's not George Clooney. It's John
No,
T. Edge. John T. Edge doesn't get recognized
no,
anywhere. So
no. Yeah,
listen, you fed his ego.
I did. I did. So
He went home to Blair with a big old head.
anyway, so he posted. He made a swift pit stop in Macon. He wasn't there long. I just happened like the circumstances leading up to this are just crazy. My old backyard on the way home to Oxpatch. Not seen here are the talented Mike and Richie at Downtown Grill. Co-sign on that. Totally love y'all. And generous and kind Catherine Walden, who shared stories of her son Philip, my childhood friend. I miss you, Philip. Thanks for the extra lamb chop, Nick. And the lamb chops at Downtown Grill are extra good.
That's what I got when I was there for my homecoming trip.
So good, so good. So then I posted on there because I was still so embarrassed that I just vomited all over his feet. And I said, "Thanks for letting me turn into a total fangirl. Opening the door to see one of my favorite writers and one of my favorite hometown spots was a Christmas gift indeed." And then he replied, I went apoplectic all over again.
I think it's awesome and he loved it. And you should not have any embarrassment whatsoever.
He said, "Hey, it was nice to meet you. I really appreciate you watching our show." Not listening to our podcast, but watching our show. It was just, I love a good story. That's why we're here, y'all, is because we love good stories. And he's the ultimate to me. He's the ultimate storyteller. And to meet him and know that he's so kind and nice and tolerated this crazy woman that just verbally vomited all over his shoes was just the best.
I'm telling you, he loved it.
So now I'm gonna let Mandee take over because we're not done. We're not done with the story.
Well, he loved it as evidenced by his reply comment. I mean, he could have
Yes.
ignored me if he was bothered
He
by
could
it.
have ignored me if he thought I was a stalker.
That's right. So it just so happened that that was all on Thursday.
Yep.
And got the message on Friday. And then True South's Instagram page shared on Friday that they were running a marathon Friday night. And so I posted on our podcast Instagram and said, I shared their post and I said, my Friday night plans are a pot roast, some red wine, and this True South marathon. Y'all should join me because Katie has a story that she's going to share with us next week, and it's a doozy. So that was that. I woke up Saturday morning, or was it? I can't remember now when it was. At some point, y'all, the True South Instagram page shared that post on their Instagram. Like, this is so stupid. It is so inside baseball, but we were so excited.
Like, I was like screenshotting, taking pictures, texting her, like, what the hell just happened?
It's like we were famous.
We were like 2.2 seconds.
But we're not learning and recognizing our fame because my friend Lee, the aforementioned William's wife,
We are both like laughing and crying right now.
Lee also screenshotted shot the True South post and sends it
Oh,
to our group text of our high school girlfriends. She's like, Mandy. I'm like, and everybody else is like, what are y'all talking about? And I'm like, well, you have to listen to the podcast if you want to know what we're talking about. So then the next day, so on Friday, maybe that all happened on Friday. I don't remember. But on Friday, John T continued to post because he was in Cordele. Well, William's mother grew up in Cordele. So William's people are from Cordele. So I sent it to William and Lee, and I was like, y'all, they're going to be recording in Cordele.
come
William,
on.
William, you got to figure out where they are so that we can start hanging out there. So when they come back to record, we can just be the casual extras in the background. And then
We're going to be sleeping in the parking lot and they're going to call the cops on us, is what I'm hearing.
and, and then he posted from Americus, which is where William and Lee live. I'm like, William, get on it. And Lee's like, I've never heard of this place. And she's getting on Google Maps, like trying to figure out where this little restaurant is. And she like sends a map, sends a screenshot of the map. And she's like, William, it's close to your office. So y'all, William gets in the car and drives to the restaurant trying to find John T.
The layers of stalker crazy amazingness.
And then he sends us a video. It's like reporting live from the scene. Oh, it's so good. It was so good.
I mean, we have Rove reporters.
There's 4 people on the face of the earth. This is exciting too. And it's us and William and Lee. Oh god.
Oh, I can't even, y'all. I can't even.
William said he's gonna get himself hired to work on True South before it's over.
Legit.
Right?
Oh, I'll be the hype man. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm crying laughing. This is the craziest, the craziest thing.
It's just it's such a niche
It
thing to be excited about.
I wasn't even like I had contemplated not if I had. I mean, I love my friend Casey so much, and I would want to stay by her side every second that I can. Her husband might think that's a little weird, but I mean, I love her. But I'm
Like,
so glad.
This is Casey. I got to go. Little did you know.
Little did I know. And it was like one of those things. It was so cold and windy, and I opened the door and it whoosh a wind, and there's John T. Hatch magically sitting in front of me.
And your face was such that he immediately stood up. Listen,
Immediately.
This is what we meant when we said find your people. Find the other 3 people on the face of the earth
Oh,
who are gonna get this excited about John T. The funniest thing is Jim, Birch's husband, went to graduate school with John T. He's always like, eh. Oh boy.
I feel like we need to get him on the podcast. I spoke it into existence. I texted it into existence. I feel like we need to get him on the podcast.
You don't know. I think I told the story. If you go back and listen to episode 5, I think I told the story of when I was in Oxford, like in the height of COVID lockdown.
We're already stalkers.
I drove around. I drove around Oxford looking for John T. and Wright.
And all I had to do was open the damn door at Downtown Grill.
Well, I found him. I have a video I sent to Birch.
Oh God.
It said, "Is that John T. sitting in the Adirondack chair in his front yard?" What's wrong with us?
God. We're crying.
Stupid.
Let me tell you, I really don't get excited about this world. I don't. I mean,
Oh
I
God.
was it just like Mandy, like we know everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else. Nobody is more special than the other. But when I tell you that I freaked the hell out, and now we're like sending Rove reporters out into the world to track him down.
Because listen, we have
Where
found people.
we have found him. Find your people found.
Oh
Done.
golly, golly, golly.
Oh,
So listen,
I
that was our
mean,
week of John T. Little does he know.
well, he will now because we're going to tag the hell out of him in this episode so he can know to watch out and get restraining orders, John T. Mandy can even write them. She's a lawyer.
I don't do any criminal, sorry.
Well, I know some people. I'm sure he's,
Oh,
anyway. Oh my gosh. It was the best. And
you
I really thought, and I'll tell the story next week because I just can't get past the story. But I thought the cane story, which the picture I sent you of the walking stick, was going to be my story for the week. But that'll be next week because I can't get past this. And it just kept going, and this like every day there was a new video or a new post, and I was like, oh my, this is just the craziest thing I've
um,
ever in my life.
oh yeah. Because I was
Oh,
hoping that's fun. Okay, I think we have to move on
we
now.
have to move on. But there you go, Birch. There's the deets. Ooh, loud.
Loud is right.
So, Mandy, it's food time.
Food time. Okay. Christmas time is here. I thought I'd just kind of go through some highlights of what we'll be eating in the next week.
And
Um,
yep, next week is my turn, and my sister-in-law did tell me where to find that dish, so I will have that next week. I'm
okay.
super excited. The collard and grit thing.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah,
Soul Bowl. Some Birch commented on our.
I know. Soul Bowl.
So that was our friend who worked with us in DC, Christopher Smith, who went to Mardi Gras. And Christopher was this really sort of shy, quiet kid. And
Until he
I
got to
worked
Mardi Gras.
I worked in the front office, which became like the staff lounge because we had the refrigerator with the free Coca-Colas in it.
As Georgia
Um,
people tend to do.
and so Birch just happened to be hanging out in the front office too because that happened every now and then. And Christopher came in. We're like, Christopher, how was your trip? How'd it go? And he's, telling us about Mardi Gras. And y'all, he was just quiet and soft spoken. And then he starts talking about the kids who were yelling for the people in the floats to throw the
Mm.
moon pies. And he said they all of a sudden Christopher yells in Coverdale's front office, Moon cookie, give it up. So, so when Birch posted Soul Bowl, I had to answer with give it up.
We have officially
Gone off the rails.
gone off the rails and lost our damn minds. Woo! I'm
So,
still red. I'm
so
gonna
I
take
can't wait
my
for
sweater
the
off.
grits and collards, all of that to say.
Yeah.
What I'm offering you up today is Paul, Paula Deen's shrimp stuffed potatoes, which we
Wow.
had on Christmas Eve with the tenderloin and some other things, but the tenderloin and the shrimp stuffed potatoes are required. They're basically just twice baked potatoes, but you also fold in
Love it.
some shrimp.
Love it.
And they're great because you can make them way far ahead if you need to, and just have them ready to stick in the oven. Um, you know, you don't have to stand there while you're dressed for everybody coming to dinner, mixing everything up. You can just pull them out of the oven, which is nice. And they would go with basically, not just tenderloin. They would go really well with the ham, I would think. as well. So if you were doing that, I don't know that I'd really like them with turkey, but
No,
tenderloin,
tenderloin. Yeah,
Candy
shrimp.
spread roast,
Yeah, yeah.
anything.
Oh, yeah, that'd be
Florida.
great.
Yeah. So just thought I would share those with you all. And then my sister, sorry, excuse me, all the laughter. My sister loves nothing more than a cinnamon roll. And
Same, by the way.
I try to make cinnamon rolls for her. I don't always do it, but I do try to make some cinnamon rolls for her for Christmas morning because we will, as we're opening presents, so we open presents one person, one present at a time. So
Mm,
it takes a while. And so we'll pass around Nanny sausage balls and some cinnamon rolls.
which I'm making tomorrow, by the way. I got my scooper yesterday. I'm
Love to hear
making
it.
it tomorrow. Can't wait.
Love to hear it. Um, and then but my favorite cinnamon rolls are like the big puffy soft cinnamon
Mhm.
rolls like you used to get in the RB Wright cafeteria. Best cinnamon rolls on the face of the earth, bar none. Lee Willis's dad was the principal there. Thank you very much. Just bringing it all full circle.
Full
Um,
circle there, Lee.
so the recipe I linked are Smitten Kitchen, shocker. Um,
I
the
mean, look, I thought it was cool that you met her.
like yeah, you didn't even share your great line from our show notes.
I see your Smitten Kitchen and I raise you an edge.
So, but so these are Deb's recipe. It's a recipe she actually adapted from Alton Brown
Mm.
moniker. Can't remember.
I don't
Um,
know, but he's a good Georgia boy.
yes. But so if you and she links to his recipe in the recipe that I have linked because her recipe is for cranberry orange breakfast buns, which are also killer,
Love
really
it.
good. But the recipe that she links to from him are cinnamon rolls. And then she also has sort of, if you read all the way through the recipe, sort of at the bottom, she has a recipe for apple cinnamon
Ooh.
rolls. And if you just leave the apples out, then you can use her
Yeah.
recipe for the cinnamon rolls.
I
Um,
love an orange flavor anything.
those are
So,
really good. And like I said, they're like the big, soft,
are they
puffy.
yeast? You know, I'm afraid of yeast.
Don't be afraid. Yes, these are yeast. The other good thing about these is they require two rises. But the second rise is overnight in the refrigerator, and so
Okay.
you just pull them out Christmas morning, and I think they have to sit for a little bit before you put them in the oven, but that's great because your second rise is while they're, it's overnight.
While
So
Santa is coming.
exactly. So, um, highly recommend those. And then we just added another food, recommendation because Katie got her Christmas present for me just as
Which,
we were starting.
I
And
mean,
we were
this
like,
girl knows me so well.
I can't believe we haven't talked about this place. It's
Yeah.
Sweet Berry, which is in Thomasville, just down the road from where I
My
grew up.
favorite creamery.
It's so good. They have several cheeses now. They started with their Thomasville Tome.
Which I have a thing now, which makes me so happy.
Maybe have some. But they have several different cheeses now, and they're just a great little, independent, small business, Georgia business, which we love.
Yep.
It used to be that their shipping was exorbitant, but it is not.
Well, so they packaged it really well. I mean, I'm sure it's because you gotta, I mean, with cheese, you gotta put all kinds of packets of cold stuff in there. And it was perfect. It was free. It was really cold in the packaging. They did a great job.
Good. I hope you will enjoy that. I myself, y'all, got a fabulous cookbook yesterday.
Uh, hmm,
It was published by Gogi and her Bridge Club, and they all like shared their favorite recipes. They share it's split up in different sections, but one of them is they all shared their menus for when people would be coming over to play bridge.
mhm.
They would share what they would have for lunch that day. So it's got lots of good making recipes in there. I'm thrilled to death. And it was signed by Gogi's best friend, which is so
Yes. So I'll in another episode I'll tell that whole story. But Gogi played bridge with the same group for like 65 years, and they were all like some were childhood friends, some were college friends, but Gogi and her best friend were both good famus. And
Family.
I always run through If It's paper when I'm in town. I ran through If It's in the back. I was getting Christmas wrapping, but I always run back there because usually there's a copy because it's out of print. And there are very few that are out in the world. And there just happened to be one. And in my head, I'd always thought, well, the next one I can find, I'm going to send to Mandee. And so I grabbed it as fast as I could. And I also grabbed a little book of Sidney Lanier's poems, which is another great Macon native from a long time ago. And we'll talk about him, I'm sure, at some point. Because anyway, there's a whole thing there too. But I looked and it was signed by Gogi's best friend, Shirley Butler. And it was so sweet. And I thought, of course, Shirley sent me this to send to Mandee. So I was just so excited. But like Miss Boundary cookies are in there, cheese muffins are in there, Gogi's chicken squares are in there.
Hey, Miss Baldry's cookies, by the way. They're
Yes. Aren't
delicious.
they great?
I've been giving them around to the folks that
So
work
good.
around here in little baggies.
So good. But they're, it's funny, like, well, I'll tell the whole story about it another time, but it was just another way that this trip was just meant to be because I don't see it every time I go in there and they're not always signed. But this one was, and it was from Shirley. And so that was just perfect. So,
Mm,
it was great.
well, good.
Yeah.
Good. So now we're on to your favorites, friend. Other
Yes.
than
So
John P. Edge,
other than John Ted.
lay it on us.
Oh, oh,
Mm,
okay. So I thought I would start. I got an email or something the other day from one of my favorite places that we have not talked about. Do you watch the Lost Kitchen show? Do you know what that is at all?
I do
Okay,
not.
there's a show on Magnolia Network that I like a lot of those shows, but this is a girl up in Maine and she has a restaurant that's only open in the summer because otherwise there's feet and feet of snow. And it's just a really cool story. She is divorced. She's remarried now, but she was divorced, back home with a kid with no income, and she built this business. And she's a great cook. Her father owned a diner in town, so she grew up cooking, and now she's made this beautiful place that supports the little community they're in. It is so popular. It's so hard to get reservations. You have to send in a postcard. This is how they do reservations. So, but the United States Postal Service said there's not enough business in this town to sustain a post office. So they were going to take the post office out of this little town. And she said, well, I mean, what if we start doing reservations through postcards? So they get thousands, when I tell you thousands,
That's awesome.
thousands of postcards every year. And they put them in trays and they randomly pull for each seating. And if you got to go when they tell you got to go. And
That's
so,
awesome.
isn't it great? But it's all women that serve, it's women that cook, it's women that do the prep work. She does local farmers. She supports all of that. And they put a show on Magnolia Network that highlights that. And if you're not watching it, I highly recommend. It's just a great story. And now she's got, of course, a shop on her website with cute little gifts that you could give for kitchen stuff and whatever. Um, so it's another female-owned business that you can support. It's not in the South, but that's okay. We love her still. Her name's Erin French, and she's been on the
Oh,
Today Show now. She's wonderful. Highly recommend all the things. But I've linked her website in the show notes, and then I just when you have some free time and you need to binge something, the Lost Kitchen on Magnolia Network is so good,
I don't think I knew there was a Magnolia Network.
girl. So it's not all Chip and Joanna. In fact, it's mostly
Uh,
not Chip and Joanna.
I didn't realize I've never been Chip and Joanna stan. So
It and he gets on my very last nerve after a while. But the other shows that are on there are really good.
You have to subscribe to it.
No, it's on Discovery. If you're on Discovery, you can get all of the Discovery things on there.
Okay.
The Magnolia shows on there. Um, really, really good. Some great designers. I love to look at how other people design their homes. I can't afford to do most of what they do, but I can make it, anyway. So all the things.
Okay. Cool.
Um, I had this on here, but I didn't know that I was going to get a box of an unexpected gift at my door this morning. So a friend of mine sent me, she normally just sends me a Christmas card, and I love it because she lives in St. Simons, and she's got this white little fluffy dog named George. And her Christmas cards every year are so cute. On this one, it's George, and it says, I help lick the stamps.
Good job, George.
So cute. But she sent me, it's not much. She just sent me some little cocktail napkins that says, I drink champagne when I'm in love and I drink champagne when I'm not in love, or something like that. It was real cute. But just the fact that she took the time to do that was so sweet. And I just love that. And so I'm glad that Mandee did that for me as well again today. It was really, really sweet. And then I've already talked a little bit about my visiting with my friend Casey. Like I said, she just had some medical stuff done. So I just wanted to go lay eyes on her and say hello and hug her for 5 minutes. But it turned into, of course, drinking wine and having lots of laughs and catching up for hours. And that just made my heart happy. So go see your people that you haven't seen in a while. Send the little thing, it brought me joy to send Mandee the cookbook. It brought me joy to receive the gifts that I have received unexpectedly. So 'tis the season.
Yeah.
The next one, so I don't normally watch SNL. I'm not up that late. I'm asleep by then. And I don't always love what they do. Like sometimes, especially with all the, like, with Tina Fey being not there and all those women that I find very funny. And some of the guys, I don't normally just watch it, but I love the weekend update joke swaps.
I have not seen this.
So Michael Che and, he's married to Scarlett Johansson.
Colin,
Colin. Yep. So they write jokes for each other, and neither one of them sees them before they read them.
Okay, I think I have seen
And
this.
they are wildly inappropriate for the other to read. They laugh, and it's embarrassing and hilarious. Colin, I really think one of these days is going to get shanked for some of the things he says out loud. Like
It's
it's
kind of like the
so funny.
blooper thing.
Yes. Yes. So for this year though, Michael Che really upped the ante. And he had a woman who he said was Dr. Haddie Davis, who was supposedly an activist, sitting right next to Colin as he said these very inappropriate things. Well, turns out she's just an actress. She wasn't really an activist.
But Colin didn't know that.
Colin didn't know that. The layers of funny that this sketch has now put out in the world is just, it's a pretty amazing. So I highly recommend watching all the joke swaps because they're just funny. But that's about my favorite thing with SNL these days, and it made me laugh a lot. And then I thought I would share a couple of my Instagram follows because Mandee's always really good about sharing some great things to follow. One of them I just started following. Apparently, Instagram knows I'm a word nerd. And so this is called The.language.nerds. And like today's post is, forgive me, Father, Pastor, Vicar, Padre, Priest, for I have synonymed.
I think I follow them too.
But it also does like
Yeah.
random old words with, that nobody uses anymore, but they have these great definitions, that kind of thing.
Speaking of, did you see my Facebook post that the phrase is
Yes.
spit and image, not spitting image?
Okay, so
Mind blown.
Mind blown.
That feels like something they would do.
Yes, yes. So for all you wordy language nerds like our friend John T. Hedge, this is a great follow.
Our new bestie.
I'm red again. Whew. Okay, the next Instagram follow that I love is called the Royal Collection Trust. And look, I love a royal gossip thing, whatever, but this is not that. This is a look at the art, the furniture, the holdings that the Royal Collection Trust has and how they
Good.
restore them.
It's like a virtual museum.
It
My
is.
favorite.
Yes.
It looks
My favorite. Mandy's not, but it
listen, it's fine. We can
look.
like different things.
So today, like today's post or yesterday, the latest post highlights a portrait of Queen Victoria that she had painted of herself. It's a selfie. But she had it done with all her favorite gifts that Albert had given her over the years, and she gave it to him. So I know, right? So, like, anyway, they said, well, this is the box that he gave her then, and this is the jewelry. Anyway, it makes my little nerd heart sing. But it
I'm
looks
just
at the
fine.
tapestries and the furniture and the paintings and all the things.
Tapestry.
Yeah. And the
Tapestry.
dresses.
Katie's really into a tapestry.
I love it. It makes me happy.
Good. We love that.
And then on the irreverent side is one you probably have seen them and now you can buy like Christmas ornaments with their sayings on them, but it's a Mexican restaurant in Texas called I'm going to say this really wrong because I'm not El Arroyo, I think.
I don't know.
And they have a great signage out front and they change it frequently and it is hilarious usually or inappropriate or just really fun. So I follow them for a good laugh as well.
A cosign. They are
Yeah.
great.
So
Good. Those are fun.
those are my favorites.
Yay.
Yeah.
If we titled our episodes, this would definitely be the John T episode.
I see your kitten and raise you an edge, ma'am.
Oh, y'all. Okay. Well, we hope that, I know this week can be stressful for everybody
Yes.
getting ready for Christmas and all the family coming and all the joys that brings with it. So, I mean, at least maybe we made y'all laugh while you're up late wrapping presents.
Look.
May I please bless upon you all that nobody has to assemble a marble tastic. Um, let's please get all the little ears that might be listening to our
Yeah.
explicit podcast away while I tell you that if you have a marble tastic that you're planning on giving your child and assembling on Christmas Eve, just stop, abort that plan immediately, and come up with something else. Because
Yeah.
I once spent an entire Christmas Eve, did not go to sleep, y'all, not for 1 minute, assembling a marble tastic. Okay? Don't do
Yeah.
it. Learn
Yeah.
from my mistakes.
As I like to say, it's my favorite saying these days at church, with my lovely parishioners and in life, grace abounds. Grace abounds. If you don't get something put together, grace abounds. If something comes out of the oven not quite right, grace abounds. There is enough grace in the world to cover anything that we have going on these days. And we have to show each other and our families. I mean, my sweet sister-in-law is going to cook brunch for all of us and host us all after hosting friends the night before with 4 children.
God
Grace
love.
abounds.
Yep.
Grace
Yep.
abounds.
Yep. As long as we hand it out. So everybody hand out
Yes.
some grace.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, friends, this
Merry
has been so
Christmas.
much fun. It's been
Still working on it.
unhinged.
Yeah.
But
Hope
Brooke,
we canceled out.
I hope you haven't broken a table.
Yeah, we didn't bang on enough tables in Brooker's honor.
Look, we
It's
need
not
to
good
have her on.
quality.
Look, she will flip something over,
Oh
but we
Lord.
love her and we love y'all. So Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night.